Shabbat Shalom. Please join me. There is to it, try with me. One more time, try it together. Second part goes like this.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's so good to see many returning faces, some new faces. Really happy to have all of you gathered here on this Shabbat. And Shabbat is meant to be a bit of a reorientation to ourselves and to the world. It's a chance for us with ourselves to maybe treat us with a little bit more grace, a little bit more kindness for that misstep from this past week or that moment when we might not have been our best selves. And it's also a chance for us to reorient ourselves to the world around us, to think about who might be someone who I haven't connected with in a while, someone I might have a rift with, who I want to reach out to and make that connection. And just a chance for us to shift from moving and producing and accomplishing to being and to relating with one another. And so we're going to start that by briefly, and everyone remember briefly, finding someone, because we have some new folks here. So find someone, you can even get up and find someone you don't know and introduce yourself.
Someone you don't know.
And we know who you know. So
we know who you know. So we will call you out on this. If you're talking with somebody you know, we're going to be like,
Alan is modeling it in the back. Beautiful, Alan.
That's
so
how
go
it's
find
done.
someone, but briefly, this is briefly but welcoming. Go find someone you don't know and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. All right, we are coming back together.
No, we're not.
We are coming back together. Beautiful, my friends in the back. other ways, one of the other ways, hello.
If you're new to us, it's a very social congregation. I don't know
Once
what
you
else to
unleash,
say.
you know, you never know if they're
You
coming
could
back.
you could just sense how anxious the rabbi was when she unleashed that. She was like, "We're not going to do this all night." And then we kind of did it all night. That's just how we roll. But
You know.
but we got them back.
It was
It's
good.
good. Welcome back. Shabbat shalom.
So one of the other ways that we shift our perspective is into gratitude. That no matter what is going on in our lives or in the world around us, we can make a practice of looking for the good. And so we're going to start that together with Tov Lehodot as we move into Kabbalat Shabbat. The words can be found on your supplemental page.
On this day of days, my lips shall sing your praise, for I know that you'll always be here surrounding my spirit takes release. I close my eyes in peace, and from my soul the fall of light springs a song of
We'll continue together with Lecha Dodi. We are on pages 20 and 21. We'll join together.
Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat kadena. Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat kadena. Shamor v'zachor b'diburecha Shmi'anu el hamilka Adonai echad shelo echad Lecha dodi likrat kala Lecha dodi likrat kala Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha Mikor habracha Rosh Mikeren Meshucha So ma'aseh lemachshavah Lecha dodi likrat kala Lecha dodi likrat kala Hitoreri, Kivahore, Uri, Uri, Shidaveri, Kivod Adonai, Adonai, Lecha dodi, likrat kala Lecha dodi likrat kala
On the bottom of 21, we rise and face the entrance.
Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala Gam b'simcha ובצהלה מתוך אמוני סגולה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת קלה Lecha dodi likrat kala Now, I want to hear you say it. Lecha dodi
We'll continue standing and join on page 28 for our call to worship, the Baruch Hu. prepare to recite our Ma'ariv, our Ravim prayer, this is when we reenact the cycle of creation. I wanted to share these words from the Israeli poet Leah Goldberg. This is called Poem of the Journey's End. The path is so lovely, said the boy. The path is so hard, said the lad. The path is so long, said the man. The grandfather sat on the side of the path to rest. Sunset paints his gray head gold and red. The grass glows at his feet in the evening dew. Above him the day's last bird sings. Will you remember how lovely, how hard, how long was the path? You said day chases day and night, night. In your heart you said, now the time has come. You see evenings and mornings visit your window, and you say there is nothing new under the sun. Now with the days you have whitened and aged, your days numbered and tenfold dearer, and you know every day is the last under the sun, and you know every day is new under the sun. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv haravim. We'll continue with words of Shema. We're on page 34.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Words from Muriel Rukeyser. It's a poem called Miriam, the Red Sea. High above shores and times, I on the shore forever and ever. Moses, my brother, has crossed over to milk, honey, that holy land. Building Jerusalem, I sing forever on the seashore. I do remember horsemen and horses, waves of passage poured into war. all poured into journey. My unseen brothers have gone over chariots, deep seas under. I alone stand here ankle deep, and I sing. I sing until the lands sing to each other. We'll join together in our prayer for freedom as we sing these words, page 40.
La 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 la.
Continue with our Hashki Venu prayer. You'll see the words found on our supplemental page. This is our nighttime prayer, asking God, asking whatever we believe is bigger than each of us to hold us, to comfort us, to make us feel safe from all the things within us and all the things in this world that can be so scary, so terrifying, so overwhelming. We'll join together.
Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom, Shalom. V'ha'amidenu b'keinu l'chaim. V'fosalenu sukat shlomecha, v'fosalenu sukat
continue together with our Amidah on page 48. And if you're able, we'll invite you to please rise. Page 46.
But first, a brief word from page 46.
46.
Adonai Sfatai Tivtai Adonai Sfatai Tivtai Ufi Adi Ata Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We'll continue in silent prayer through page 62, either with the words of the Amidah or with your own words from your heart, and you can be seated whenever you're ready.
So many of you know that I just returned from my summer studies that I usually enjoy in Jerusalem. And it was, of course, a trip to Israel unlike any that I had experienced in my life. That's true often when you go to the Holy Land. But this time around for some very profound reasons. It's going to take a long time for me to unpack within myself the experiences that I had so that I can really fully share them, bring them to all of you, and bring them to share within our community. But I wanted to give you just a couple of tastes of the spirit of the moment in Israel, because there are some really key, profound differences in the way in which Israeli Jews are experiencing this moment from the way Jews elsewhere in the world are. Just the immediacy of everything can be felt in every moment, wherever you go. Part of it is because, many have likened what happened on October 7th to a 9/11 of sorts. For Israel, the difference is that while the numbers of those who died and became captive, about half of the number that died on 9/11, the size of the country of Israel, of course, is dramatically smaller. And so it really is about 1 or 2 degrees of separation with almost everybody you have a conversation with in terms of knowing hostages, knowing families who have suffered losses, certainly knowing the displaced Israelis, thousands upon thousands of them, both in the north and in the Gaza envelope. And of course, also weighing heavily is the consequence of all of this writ large in the Middle East, the intense suffering of the people of Gaza, the questions of how we reach an end to the awfulness that has overtaken us for these last 9+ months. What does the world look like after that end arrives? How do we build a world in which both peoples who share this piece of land can know the rights of safety and self-determination? All of these questions hover amid all of that heaviness of the heart that comes from knowing so personally those who are suffering from this tragedy. And yet at the same time, there's a strangeness, because you know that just a few miles away, untold suffering, a suffering that really we can't even imagine is taking place, and yet everyone is waking up in the morning attempting to live their life, attempting to go about building their day, go to work, go to school, take care of their families. There's a strange dissonance that embraces everybody who's living through this moment. I had the great gift, of course, in addition to meeting people and seeing family and friends and teachers and whatnot, of course, to immerse in study, as I always do at the Hartman Institute. And the learning that I do there every summer ends up filling so much of the teaching that I do here during the year. Among the learnings from this time around, I had a chance to learn with the master teacher of modern Israeli poetry, Rachel Korazim. And among the poems, she collected a beautiful set of poems from poets none of us knew. There are all these new poets who are springing into Israeli consciousness right now, new voices that need to be heard, speaking to the particularities of this moment. And this poem is written by an Israeli poet, Tal Shavit. The poem is entitled Good Day in English, but those of you who are Hebraicists will know that if you are translating the English words good day, they translate to Yom Tov, as in Yom Tov or Yontif. They also, there's the entendres that are built into wishing someone a good day, and also what will ultimately make the experience of a good day. And so this poem, from among the many that I had the chance to study, was really the one that spoke to me for sharing on this first Shabbat back with all of you, because it speaks, I think, very, very directly to the experience of so many Israelis who I met, of every political stripe, of every age, from wherever their families may have derived and arriving in the state of Israel. This was a common theme that Allison and I experienced throughout our time in Israel. Tal Shavit writes, I want to manage all the war rooms, mobilize all the supply chains. I want to take care of all the children, of all the single mothers and those who are gone. I want to turn myself into protective vests for all the fighters, become iron domes over their heads of all the girls, each and every one, to sustain all the families, the evacuated, the broken, the crushed, return those who were taken, bring back all that is gone. I want to collect all the donations and take them where they belong, to pass all the messages, to make all the sandwiches, to oversee all the efforts. But on a good day, I manage sometimes to breathe, sometimes to drink, sometimes to call loved ones. On a good day, I manage sometimes to cry. The constant struggle that is going on in Israel to navigate grief while being sustained by hope in tomorrow is an extraordinary human dance of resilience. It is what each and every one of us learns how, the dance we all learn how to dance in our lives. For all those times when we are thrown curveballs that we don't know how to catch, and we're trying to figure out how to become who we need to be for a moment of extraordinary challenge and difficulty. This, of course, is a collective one held by an entire people. The neighborhood that Allison and I lived in, where we rented our little apartment for the time that we were there, is a neighborhood in Jerusalem known as Baka. The probably best known resident of Baka these days is Hirsch Goldberg Polin, probably the best known of the now too many hostages that remain in Gaza. Hirsch is well known partly because he is both American and Israeli. He is well known because his mother is an extraordinary power, bringing his story into so many eyes, into so many lives, to ensure that we will never forget about the hostages, just as we will never forget about all those who are suffering in Israel, in Gaza, in too many troubled corners of this world, each one an individual one. The challenge that we often experience as humans when we think about suffering is that there's so much mass suffering, it's hard to actually feel it because it's held by far too many people. But when you boil it down to just one, and you recognize how many are experiencing something like that, something like what Hirsch is going through right now, that is what enables the heart to open and for us to hold the deep, deep pain of this moment. And then to be finding the deep motivation, the impetus to renewal, to a promise, to a tomorrow. In Hirsch's neighborhood, there was, during one of the weeks that we were there was a whole week of events for holding the hostages close at heart. And at the Tachana Rishona, is a little kind of social gathering place. It's the old train station in Jerusalem. And there are shops, and there are rides, and there are places to hang out, and then there's also just kind of a big open gathering space. And one night, right in Hirsch's neighborhood, hundreds of Israelis poured out into this space, setting up their own chairs. Felt an awful lot like a night at a Jewish summer camp, except what it was hundreds upon hundreds of Israelis who simply needed to sit with one another, to be with one another, to sing with one another. And we sang, and we sang. I have videos of this on my phone for anybody who wants to get a chance to just hear what that sounded like, to see what that felt like. And among the songs, some were mournful, some were about that which is foreboding in this moment, but so many were about the hope that sustains us, that points us toward a direction that we might name as tomorrow. This song is so beloved in Israel for more than 40 years now, since David Broza wrote it. He wrote it in the aftermath of the peace treaty that was made between Israel and Egypt. And so it was at a time of forward-looking hope. And so when Israelis sing this melody at a time like this, they're able to tap into the reservoir of what it felt like when something else that was impossible felt impossible. For those of you who are old enough to remember, right, 1973 was, before this war, the worst moment in Israel, modern state of Israel's history. 1973, the Yom Kippur War, instigated by Egypt. If anyone had told you that 5 years later there'd be a peace agreement signed between the Egyptians and the Israelis, and that it would be durable, might not be the warmest and fuzziest, but it would be durable, and that would last all the way, and we'd be talking about it in the year 2024, that would have seemed impossible. If anyone told you in 1973 that that was coming in 1978, 79, you'd have said, no way. And so when Israelis on that night, thinking of Hirsch, thinking of all those who are suffering, who are lonely, who are lost, who are grieving, joined in singing Yihiyeh Tov, that it will be good again, they were diving into those waters, sustained by those living waters, and hopefully in their hearts, summoning what it will take to make it to that moment once again where all of this darkness will once again yield to light. I gave you a blue page. Some of you know I'm a little finicky about the color of my pieces of paper that I give out. It's a shtick of mine, it's true.
An endearing one.
An endearing shtick. I'm glad, thank you, Rabbi Bernie. I'm glad to know that it's not just neurotic. It is neurotic, but it's also apparently endearing, which is nice to know. Blue, obvious, the reason for the color blue tonight. These words, it is not an accident that they appear on your page in English and in Hebrew, but not in English transliteration of Hebrew. That wasn't a mistake. I didn't make an error there. That's because if you want to sing along and you know the song really well, I welcome you to do so, but I really wasn't seeking for this to be a recreation of what took place in Israel. I'd rather tap into your imagination than your voice at this moment. I want you to picture all of these white plastic chairs, hundreds of them, set up by regular Israeli citizens, piling into this place because they knew lots of other people were going to be there, just looking for the affirmation that comes with presence, the affirmation that we're creating for one another here tonight. I want you to picture that space, a space with a wood floor, a lot like this, actually. White plastic chairs, hundreds of them, filled with Israelis. And when the screen popped these words up on the screen, they were able to reconnect with that moment where darkness turned once again to light, and to dream of that moment in this moment. As I sing the melody, I invite you to look at the English, starting on the left side, and then the right side column, and then the back of the page. There are 3 verses and choruses that I'll sing. The third is on the back side of the page, and I encourage you to look at the English words so that you can connect with what they were feeling, hearing, understanding as Hebrew speakers, so that this song will be yours as it was theirs on that night. אני מביט מהחלון, וזה עושה לי די עצוב. האביב חלף אבל לא, מי יודע אם נשוב. הליצן היה למלך, הנביא נהיה ליצן, ושכחתי את הדרך, אבל אני עוד כאן. יהיה טוב, כן, לפעמים אני נשבר, אז הלילה, הלילה, איתך אני נשאר. ילדים לובשים כנפיים ועפים אל הצבא, ואחרי שנתיים הם חוזרים ללא תשובה. אנשים חיים במתח, הם מחפשים סיבה לנשום, ובאין שנאה לרצח מדברים על השלום. לפעמים נשמע, אז הלילה, הלילה, ככה אני נשאר. Turn the page over. אני מביט מהחלום, לראות אם כל זה אמיתי. מביט מהחלום וממלא את תפילתי. או נדור זאב עם כבש ונמרי בצמתי, אך בינתיים את תוציאי את ידך מכף ידי. לפעמים אני נשמע, אז הלילה, הלילה, איתך אני נשאר.
Our people's journey in the wilderness begins and ends with 5 women. At the start of the book of Exodus, the midwives Shifra and Puah, alongside Moses' sister Miriam, his mother Yocheved, Pharaoh's daughter Batya, all contribute to setting the Exodus story in motion by courageously stepping forward to safeguard and to protect infant Hebrews, including Moses, from the Pharaoh's malice. They create the conditions for the Israelites to one day become free. And on this Shabbat, as we conclude the book of Numbers and the Israelites' journey through the wilderness, we again witnessed the courage and the resilience of 5 women. In this case, the 5 daughters of Zelophehad, Machla, Tirzah, Hogla, Milcah, and Noah, women who single-handedly transform Israelite society. We first meet Zelophehad's 5 daughters in last week's Parsha, when they approach Moses following the death of their father. You see, according to the existing Israelite law, women could not inherit. And since Zelophehad had no sons, his land title would pass to another family, leaving his daughters with nothing. And so these sisters, who face a precarious position, publicly confront Moses, the chief priest, and the entire community with a rather audacious request to inherit their deceased father's land. Now, for anyone who has ever studied with me in women's Torah study, you know that I could go on and on and on about the sisters' strategy and their incisive planning. They not only challenge an unjust system of land inheritance, they immediately offer a thoughtful solution. First, they reassure the leaders of their father's integrity, and they share their compelling family story. And then they carefully phrase their petition in the terms that the male leadership will understand. In this case, a masculine legacy, since their inheritance would allow the land to remain in their father's name. They don't just ask for what they need. They make a calculated, precise request that addresses the interests of those in power as well as benefits the entire society. And they do so with the whole community present so that they can hold their leaders accountable. And they succeed. Moses declares, if a household dies without leaving a son, you shall transfer his property to his daughter. This shall be the law of the procedure for the Israelites in accordance with God's command to Moses. By believing that change is possible and that they are worthy pursuers of such change, Machla and Tirzah, Hogla, Milcah, and Noah completely alter their story and the story of all Israelite women. They demonstrate the courage to imagine and to implement an entire new paradigm. Even the rabbis, even our ancient rabbis, extol these 5 daughters. The Talmud teaches the daughters of Zelophehad were wise, they were interpreters, they were righteous. Moreover, each of their names, their 5 names are always linked together, are repeated in full during the 3 episodes in the Bible in which they're mentioned, demonstrating their importance not only to us as modern readers, but also to the biblical narrator as well. Even the medieval commentator Rashi acknowledges their significance. He states, their law deserved to have been written by Moses, but as worthy contributors, it was written by them. Nevertheless, as the daughters discover in this week's parasha, progress isn't always linear. Whereas the last parasha granted them the right to inherit their father's land with no strings attached, in this week's Torah portion, the family heads of the daughters' tribe urge Moses to reconsider. They worry that if their daughters marry outside of the tribe, that the land will be lost to their tribe and it will go instead to their husbands. So Moses adds some fine print. The 5 daughters still may inherit their father's land, but they may only marry within their clan or within their tribe. Ultimately, they choose to marry out of a whole tribe, they choose to marry their cousins, but we have every reason to believe that they continue to maintain ownership over their father's portion. Though the story might not have ended exactly as we hoped, we're reminded, for better or for worse, that change takes time. It's a process, one that is imperfect, it's messy, it often kicks us around a little bit. Progress isn't a straight line. We all know that far too well. We move forward, then we move backward, then a little bit forward, then a lot back. It's kind of like tracking the stock market. And we too experience progress in the same way, not just in the local and in the national political landscape, but also in our own lives. Think of any skill or any quality that we try to cultivate in ourselves. Whether you're learning to play basketball or bridge, or working to cultivate a more patient and generous spirit with the people that we love, we all experience pauses and setbacks. The shot that doesn't go in, the new game or the skill that we can't quite keep straight, the project we didn't complete on time, that cutting remark that we made without thinking. They don't stop us. They're just roadblocks to overcome through persistence, through patience with one another and with ourselves. And we know that there are times when these roadblocks feel intractable, when the weight of our struggles, whether they're personal or communal or national, may appear too much to bear, when we begin to accept that our future is a fait accompli. Right now, as we bear witness to the ongoing assault against women's bodies and reproductive freedoms, as we hear anti-Semitic acts and rhetoric become more and more commonplace, as we question the very future of a democratic America or a democratic Israel, well, we might be feeling precisely this way. But the five daughters of Zelophehad, they remind us that we are built to withstand the ebbs and the flows of progress. Unlike so many of the Israelites who respond to obstacles in their path with despair and with hopelessness, these daughters refuse to accept their fate, and they meet these challenges before them with persistence and also with patience. And in so doing, they create a law that transforms the lives of women in the whole Israelite society. Is it perfect? No. They give up some of their wins shortly thereafter, but they establish a new template, one that helps propel the Israelite community onward. And we can do the same. Despite all the causes for dismay, despite the seemingly countless reasons to lose hope, we can choose to remain resilient. We can choose to take strategic action with persistence and patience. And though we may never see the change that we want to make in ourselves and in the world fully realized, that doesn't mean that we can simply give up. As the great sage Rabbi Tarfon famously says in Pirkei Avot, it's not your duty to finish the work, but neither are you free to desist from it. No one ever said that change was going to be easy, but first, we must believe, like the daughters, that it's even possible. The other day, I got to tell my daughters that a Black woman is running for President of the United States. That means something. Regardless of your political proclivities, that means something. What else might we one day be able to tell our children and our grandchildren if we, like Machla and Tirza, Chogla, Milka, and Noah, possess the persistence and the patience to keep striving for better versions of ourselves and of our world? Shabbat Shalom. One of the ways in which we definitely are called to receive ourselves and others with persistence and definitely with patience is when we're suffering, when our bodies are not acting the ways that we would like them to, when the experiences in our lives are not unfolding the way that we would like them to. This is when we are called not just for those skill sets, but we're also called to be held. Like the daughters, they didn't do this by themselves. They had each other. This is those moments when we're meant to do this in community and to be held by one another. And that's why we have our Misha Berach prayer. This is an offering that we give to one another to recognize that we struggle. Sometimes we struggle publicly, but sometimes we struggle silently. And this is our way of saying we acknowledge you and we're here for you. And that as a community, we can care for one another. And so if you are thinking of someone on this Shabbat, maybe even yourself, and you want to say their name out loud so that we can offer them a prayer for healing, I'll invite you to rise and to say this person's name out loud so that we can hold them and hold you together. We'll join together in prayers in a prayer for healing, Mishaberach, the middle of 253.
Source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
Aleinu is on page 282. Again, if you're able, we'll invite you to please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד. A musical meditation to help us prepare for the recitation of Kaddish. The words can be found at the bottom of page 291. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, though long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love, their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. We remember. As we prepare to recite the Kaddish prayer this evening, we remember especially Max Aronson, Winifred W. Beck, Robert Burney, Lauren Simon Bronstein, Thelma Riva Cohen, Daniel Kolner, Marjorie Cornell, Nathaniel Davidson, Julius Davidson, Simon Davis, Arnold Desser, Helen Desser, Peter Joseph Etchetow, William Fadiman, Bert Freed, Robert Gee, Hal Glucksman, Barbara Goldenberg, Esther Grunfest, Kate Polikoff Harris, Roberta Howard, Masayo Isono Reagans, Ellie Kaufman, Dora Krakauer, Mildred Boris, Oscar Bud Moser, Adele Myers, Edith Newman, Linda Quick, Ray Resnick, Martin Robinson, Carolyn Schulzinger, George Sisson, Paul Smiler, Adam Carl Weil, Fanny Wolf. Are there other names we should include? If so, please speak them aloud. We think of all those whom we have named as well as those who we name in our hearts. And pause, of course, also to think of all of the innocent lives that have been lost in recent days, weeks, months, this year filled with so much suffering and pain. Those innocent lives that have been lost in a world that is contaminated by violence, and that we must lead to peace. With all of them close at heart, we say, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, the memory of the righteous is an everlasting blessing. As together we give thanks for the blessing of life with the words of Mourner's Kaddish, found on page 294. As you're able, please rise. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'yisman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yitalal, shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the giver of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us, and let us together say, Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh Shalom. Yaseh Shalom.